gift would you bring Jesus if you could have been one of the wise men? What do you think?
Dog.
Oh, I bet he would love a dog for Christmas.
The Bible.
The Bible. You would give Jesus the Bible when he was born?
No.
Chiefs season tickets.
Chiefs season tickets.
My best animal on my farm.
A phone?
Oh, shoot. What kind of phone?
Like a flip phone.
Diapers.
Diapers?
If you were a shepherd and an angel appeared to you, what would you say?
Probably, who are you?
I think that's a good question. Who are you?
What is your purpose?
What the heck? I don't know. I'd be pretty scared.
Like, what did I do? I don't know.
What did you do? Uh-oh.
I would go up and see it and said, "Hi, I love you."
Oh my gosh. You just said hi and I love you? If you were the star guiding the wise men to Jesus and you were a GPS, what would you tell them? And how would you tell them to get to him?
I would tell him to follow me because your Savior's this way and he'll save you.
How do you get lost on a GPS? I don't know.
All right, how old do you think Jesus was when the wise men arrived?
2 years. 2 days old.
2 days old. Awesome. Okay.
Probably like 1 year.
1 year old. Okay, that's a good guess. about
let's
you?
say 1 year old, 5 months, and 15 days.
That's pretty exact. Okay, what is your favorite Christmas color?
What's your favorite Christmas color? Okay.
Hey, come back! Yeah. The great thing about always talking to the kids about Christmas is they always got a nice little new flair angle to it. And they do seem to, in some ways, even add to the story in often very fun and even somewhat theatrical ways. And so we love that. In truth, we love that about a lot of things. Whenever something that we see meets the eye, we can at times want to know what's the rest of the story. Where did they come from? Where did that come from? How did that happen? What else was going on that might create that? In our modern vernacular, that's called often a conspiracy theory, generally. Like, for example, just some theories throughout there. Did you know that Keanu Reeves is immortal? Apparently, he's been around for centuries. People have found these photos of people that look just like him. And then, I don't know if you've heard this, but apparently birds aren't birds. They're really robots. It's like Hunger Games where they're spying on us. And I will say with birds, they are seemingly always around when I'm having an important conversation. They're right there. I don't know what's going on, but they're there. And then, of course, I don't know if you knew this, but people say we didn't land on the moon. Now, I don't believe that, but people will say that. They'll talk about all these different little aspects of it. And I'm saying, like, you know what? They got a space station up there right now floating around. And if they can do that, I'm pretty sure they can throw somebody on that rock and get them back and make all that work, because that station's been up there for decades. But then, so the point is that you can look at these different theories that are out there. And as you look at them, and you give them a little bit of scrutiny, they start to fall apart. But then there's other things. You can examine it, look at it, and you realize there's a lot more to this than I realized. This is actually more true than I realized. There's more to this than I could have ever possibly imagined. Like, I know some of the story, but there's a lot more to this story than I realized. And the passage of Scripture that we're going to look at in these next few moments, I believe, is communicating something like that to us. What I'm saying is that we're going to look at a few verses in the Gospel of John at the very beginning of his gospel. And as we look at these few verses, what John is doing is he's showing us more of the Christmas story, you might say. Because Matthew and Luke, their gospel accounts tell us all about the shepherds, and they tell us about a star, and they tell us about the wise men, they tell us about a stable, they tell us about a manger, baby Jesus, an inn that's full. They tell us about it all. But John is going to offer us a little bit more to the story to help us understand and to help us fully appreciate who Jesus really is and what it is that Jesus has come to do for us all, for each and every one of us. And what we're going to find is that what John lays out for us as he begins his gospel is that Jesus isn't just a baby. Yeah, that's what we see, that's what meets the eye, but what he's going to teach us is that Jesus is God. And that Jesus didn't just come into existence with his birth, that Jesus has been around for eternity, and he is light shining into darkness. And Christmas isn't a theory, Christmas is a revelation. And tonight, we're going to see that there's more to this Christmas story than what meets the eye, because we know looks can be deceiving. Quiet kid becomes a great leader. Small decision changes a life. A moment that we think is meaningless seemingly changes everything. And with the Christmas story, there is so much more to it than what meets the eye. And as you give it more scrutiny, what you find is that it has more credibility. And as you look at it closer and closer, you realize how significant it really is. And so where does John begin? He begins before time itself. And he says in verse 1, "In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God." The Word referring to Jesus. "He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made." What John wants us to see as we consider this perspective of there being more to the story, he's saying more than a baby, he is eternal God for us. Jesus didn't just begin at Bethlehem. He existed before time. He created everything that exists. He is the God who made the universe. There's more there than you could ever possibly imagine. But when you realize it, your life can be changed by it. It's like when you go to a garage sale or a consignment store and you find something there that's $1 or $2, and then you come to find out it's worth $20 or $30. I mean, that's always encouraging. I know it is for me. You hear the story, somebody finds a dusty old painting. They think it's something that's worth nothing. But then they find out it's worth millions of dollars. When you find out what it really is and the value that it really brings, it changes everything. And maybe the reason that you're here is because Jesus has changed everything for you. You've experienced that. And whatever it was that you had before, the old is gone and the new has come. We shouldn't forget that. We shouldn't just gloss over that. That lives have been saved because of Jesus. That marriages have been reconciled because of Jesus. Parent and child have come back together through the grace and the forgiveness that was given to them, and they learned to give it to one another. I mean, there are families, there are lives, there are people that are forever changed when they realize who he really is. And not just that he was a guy that lived long ago who said a lot of really neat things. He isn't just a baby. He's eternal God. And in him, John continues, was life. And that life was the light of all mankind. In other words, humankind was seemingly in an era of darkness as they were trying to understand how it was that they would get from where they were to get themselves to God. There was this gap. And they had the laws, they had the sacrifices, they had the do's, they had the don'ts. And as they were trying to understand that, Jesus comes into the world. He offered them, he offers all of us some light as we try to navigate the chaos and the tensions and the pressures. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. When a child is, maybe not whenever they're exactly first born, but you know what I'm saying, like a week or two, they gain some weight, a child has a little bit of glow to them. But Jesus had more than a glow. He was the light of the world. He was the one that came to shine a path for us. What's interesting about John is he doesn't pretend that the darkness doesn't exist. He doesn't pretend that it isn't real. John doesn't say everything is fine, which we all know what that means. That means I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm depressed, I'm struggling, I'm barely holding it all together. John doesn't say, hey, this holiday season, just ignore the pain. When you see this empty seat at the dining room table that the year before wasn't empty, when you reconnect or in the presence of family that you have these estranged relationships with, when you start to sort through some of those old wounds, deal with financial pressures, go through the grief that this season can bring about, he doesn't say it's not there. He doesn't say the pain isn't real. He acknowledges the darkness. He doesn't minimize the suffering. But the biggest thing that he wants us to understand is that even though the darkness is there, it is not victorious. Darkness feels strong, but it's never final because of Jesus. Like a week or two ago, those of you that are from our area, you know there were some strong winds coming through. There was these anticipated power outages in which the power would be shut off, and we would, in essence, be put into the darkness to avoid any type of damage or anything else that might come as a result of a broken power line. And whenever the darkness like that comes, there's a bit of a separation that you have with others. There's a bit of loss of direction that you can have in your own life. And while we know those moments at times can be planned and are momentary, the moment you turn on a light, a flashlight, the darkness goes away, doesn't it? You want to know who's undefeated? Light. Darkness has never, ever, ever defeated it. And Christmas is, in essence, God turning on the light of the world. More than a glow, Jesus was the light of the world. He was in the world, verse 10, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. One of the great tragedies of Christmas, as we read this story, you maybe read some of the other accounts, the tragedy isn't the manger. It's not this inn that was full. It's that there were people who walked with God and still rejected him. And why? Why would they do that? It wasn't that he didn't tell them, he told them. It wasn't that other people didn't say it, others said it. They speculated, but why would they still reject? Why would they walk away? Because he didn't say what they wanted him to say. He didn't look the way they wanted him to look. He was misunderstood. He was exaggerated about. The rumors spread. And he didn't show up in people's lives the way they thought that he would. And as a result of that, they didn't want anything to do with him. And if we were to really pour our hearts out, I would say there's probably been some moments for every single one of us in which we've at the least drifted from God because he didn't show up in our life the way that we wanted him to. We didn't hear the word from him that we were anticipating, that we were expecting. We didn't see some things happen that we were hoping would happen. And as a result of that, there was a drift. Maybe there was even a shrug off. There was a walk away. The tragedy of Christmas isn't all the challenges that Mary and Joseph and Jesus and everyone else had to go through. The tragedy is all the people that wouldn't come to believe in him. He came to that which was his own, but his own, they would not receive him. They wouldn't receive him. Christmas isn't about so many things that we make it about. I tell you, one of the biggest things that it is absolutely about is receiving him. And so many just walked away, they drifted, they rejected him, they didn't want anything to do with him. Did you know that there's been a study done that actually says because we can all relate to this even personally. There's a study that's been done that says the exact day and time in which all of us become tired of our family. Not obviously, the immediate family, but the extended family. Like there comes a point in time in which the comments don't roll off the back anymore. There's a day in which, things don't get brushed under the rug anymore. There's a point in which that grace meter is on empty. True story. December 26th, 2:13 p.m. is that moment. Statistically speaking, when everybody's done, and you're saying, Phil, I was there at lunchtime. I was there a while back. All right. But with Jesus, while we can have those moments with some extended family, and we have those moments with friends, people need to get back onto their lives anyway. With Jesus, we don't need to be pushing him out of our life. We need to be bringing him more into our life. Yet, verse 12, to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become a child of God, to become a part of his family. Children born not of natural descent or human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling amongst us. What Jesus came to offer there, as that word says, to be a part of the family of God, a child of God, he's saying that you're a part of his family, that isn't something that you have to earn or achieve. It's just something that you receive. It's something, maybe some of you are in families where you have to get accepted, like you have to achieve certain things. You have to do certain things. You have to have a certain title. You have to offer certain things to everyone that's around you. And if you don't do those things, then you're not a part of that family. You know what that's called? That's called dysfunctional, just in case you're wondering. But in God's family, that's not the case. We don't have to achieve, we just have to receive. What Jesus offers, if you want to know a little bit more to the story, is that it's more than a religion. Jesus invites us into God's family. I was speaking with a man who was sitting next to me on a plane, and as we were talking, he knew that I was a pastor of a church, and he said, Phil, isn't all the other religions in the world and Christianity, aren't they all just praying to the same God? Aren't they all just going to the same place? And I said to him respectfully, no, they're not. Not at all. And I said, but I understand. I get it. And some of you come from traditions of the Christian faith in which it was based upon what you did, what you didn't do, and as long as you stayed within certain parameters and did certain things, then you were in a very, very good place with God. But if you didn't do those things, then there was a gap that would be there. I said, I get it. Because that's basically what all the other religions are about. It's about doing this, not doing that, saying this, not saying this, saying that. It's about doing your prayer at this time, giving this certain type of an alms, serving, going, attending. As long as those things line up, hopefully you are enough. But with Christianity, that gap, it's not there anymore. Because you don't have to be enough. Because he was enough. And I said the biggest difference between Christianity and every other religion that's out there is forgiveness. It's the fact that none of us have measured up. And I know, and then what he's saying to me is like, is that fair? And I said, no, it's not fair. I don't want to be treated fair. If I was treated fair, I'd be in so much trouble. Do you understand all the things that I have done and said you don't? Thank goodness. You'd never come back. It's not fair. Is it fair? No, it's grace. Is it fair? No, it's mercy. Is it fair? No, it's compassion. Is it fair? No, it's salvation. It's an invitation into God's family, not because of what you achieve. All that you have to do is simply receive this invitation. And God did not shout it from heaven. Instead, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. He moved in. You might even say he moved into our neighborhood and was amongst us. One of my favorite Christmas movies, it's about a neighborhood. It's kind of more about a home, but it's in essence about this neighborhood. It's Home Alone, right? It's everybody's. It's on everybody's favorite list somewhere. But there's more to the story than you might realize. As Kevin is finding his way through this story of his, he's in a place where he's looking for hope, he's looking for answers, he's looking for help. And where does he end up? At a church. And it's at this church that he is drawn into the warmth of the sanctuary. As he comes in, the song, "O Holy Night," is being sung. And as the song is sung, there comes this point in which the choir sings, "Fall on your knees," as if you're in the presence of divinity. And there is a shot from the camera of a candle flickering. And as the candle flickers, it's a representation that Christ's presence, a communication that Christ's presence is amongst them. But you don't know where he is. You don't know what he is doing. And then there's a panning out of the entire choir that you're able to see from there. And this is when Kevin encounters Old Man Marley. Old Man Marley is someone who's misunderstood. Rumors spread about him. People were scared of him. He didn't say the things that people wanted him to say. He didn't do the things that people wanted him to do. When he showed up, it just wasn't the way that they wanted him to show up. And it's there that Kevin confesses his fear. He confesses his discouragement. He confesses his mistakes. And it's there that fear gives way to grace. It's there that a misunderstanding gives way to understanding. And a handshake replaces suspicion with trust. Now, as the movie unfolds, we see this very interesting aspect of it with Marley, in which his hand has an injury, a mysterious injury that we never understand where it comes from. It's somewhat striking at the bottom of his hand where his palm is that there is blood that has been coming out. And then you see at the top of his hand also blood that has come out. His hand wasn't simply injured on one side, but it was pierced all the way through, echoing of another's whose hand was pierced on a cross so many years ago. But Marley wouldn't simply save Kevin with a little bit of advice. Towards the end of the movie, he has this moment with the burglars in which there is no hope, there is no path forward, there is no way out, and he's in trouble. And then Marley enters in to do for Kevin what Kevin couldn't do for himself. And he saves him there. And it's at that moment that we see what the heart of the gospel really is. Because Christmas is not about figuring it out, being brave enough, holding it together, fixing ourselves. It's about God coming to us to rescue us when there was no path forward. Jesus enters into our fear, our misunderstanding, our brokenness, and he gives us deliverance. And truly, one of the final scenes of this movie, you find also an equally true, beautiful moment in which Marley is reunited with his estranged granddaughter. What was broken is restored. What was lost is found. The wounds that once divided, they now tell a story of healing. Family can be fractured for many reasons. Families are fractured for many reasons. Hearts harden over time. But Christmas reminds us of this truth, that with grace and forgiveness, old wounds, they heal fast. There was and there is so much more to the story of Christmas, to the story of Jesus, than we see on the surface. But this is why he came. This is why this night matters. And this is why, even when it seems like the darkness and the chaos are coming upon us, there is a light that'll show the way, and there is a hope that never disappoints. Would you pray with me? Father, so grateful for the gift that you've given us in Jesus. Grateful, Lord, that we don't have to achieve anything with him, but Father, that we instead simply receive. And tonight, may each of us do just that. May we receive his grace where we have fallen short. May we experience healing where there are deep wounds. And Father, help us to extend forgiveness where it is so needed. We thank you for what you've given us in Christ. We pray all this in his name.